All right. Are you ready? Sign. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order, a meeting of the Plan Commission on Monday, January 10th at 6:30 p.m. in the Germantown Village Hall Boardroom. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Wisconsin Statute Sections 19.83 and 19.84 in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for discussion and action. Roll call shows all commissioners present except for Mr. Kimmler, who is excused. At this time, if there's anyone in the audience or joining us via WebEx that would like to participate in public input or public appearance, you're welcome to do so. I would just ask that if you're here to say anything or would like to say anything about the public hearing item, which is new business item A, that you wait until we bring that up on the agenda to do so. But if there's anyone else that would like to bring anything else before this body in public appearance or public input, you can step up to the podium and state your name or your address for the record, or make the person in charge of the WebEx know that you'd wish to make comment. Is there anyone wishing to come forward? All right, then we can go to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes from the December 13th, 2021 Plan Commission meeting.
Move approval as presented.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. That then takes us to new business items, starting with new business item A, Odyssey Hotel Group LLC, agent and property owner of Holiday Inn Express, located at West 177 North 9675 Rivers Bend Lane, amendment to the Nevada Plan Development District, General Development Plan and Conditions and Restrictions Resolution number 19-16, and site plan review for a 26-room hotel expansion and renovation. That is on tonight's agenda for public hearing, actually an extension of the public hearing and action by this board. At this time, to give us more information and background on this new business item, I'll turn the meeting over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzloff. Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you indicated, Ratchet Dingra, agent for the Odyssey Hotel Group and A&R Capital property owners, are seeking approval of a proposed amendment to a Plan Development District, General Development Plan and Conditions and Restrictions Resolution, and also approval of a site development and building plan for a 26-room hotel expansion and renovation for the existing hotel located on Rivers Bend Lane. The hotel property is shown on the screen highlighted in the green. That parcel is owned by the Odyssey Hotel Group, and the parcel partially highlighted in red is an abutting property, the former Rivers Bend Golf Course, owned by A&R Capital. The A&R Capital parcel is approximately 34.5 acres in size. It's zoned institutional and also is part of a planned development district. The parcel was historically used for a golf course. It includes and contains a significant amount of both wetland and the Menominee River floodplain, covering most of the property. The Rivers Bend Plan Development District was created in 2013 to enable redevelopment of this property, as well as the two properties to the south that now exist, as part of a commercial retail package, again, that was approved back in 2013. Here's a graphic that shows all of the 34 plus acres for the A&R Capital property highlighted in red. Back in 2013, when the PDD was created, it enabled the golf course property to be divided into 3 parcels including I'll refer to it as the Buffalo Wild Wings parcel, located on the lower left on the screen. The Starbucks parcel, located just immediately east of that. Both properties and development share a common driveway that they share as part of an access easement with the Holiday Inn property. As part of those divisions and subsequent development, there was a shared parking easement that was created on the north side of those two parcels for the benefit of the golf course property. This graphic shows the concept plan that was originally approved on the left. And as you can see, what was approved was development for the Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. Originally, it was going to be yes, thank you, an Olive Garden restaurant that subsequently was not developed as proposed. But as part of that overall development plan, the golf course was going to continue to exist. A new golf course building was going to be constructed just north of the parking lot, as shown on the concept plan. Associated with that was some berming and landscaping that, in combination between the berming, the landscaping, the building, and the cart corral area, it was intended to provide a buffer screen between the restaurant parking lot and the residential area to the north. That shared parking area that was created for the benefit of the golf course is highlighted in the pink on the right-hand side of the drawing. At the time, the plan showed 22 parking stalls that would be set aside for the benefit of the golf course. And that plays in with what we're discussing this evening. Back in 2016, A&R Capital acquired the property as part of a proposal to expand the hotel. And at that time, the Rivers Bend PDD was amended to remove the golf course as a allowed use in the PDD and inserted off-site parking area as a primary or allowed use in that particular development district. Now, the Odyssey Hotel Group parcel, currently the Holiday Inn, is just under 3 acres in size. It's owned highway business, also with a planned development district, and has been used historically for hotel purposes since the late 1970s. The Neviasser, if I pronounced that correctly, PDD was created in 1977 to facilitate the development of a 70-plus room hotel development. But back in 2016, the then current owner proposed an amendment to that PDD that would allow the hotel to rebrand and expand from the 70-plus rooms to 130 rooms, along with the increase in height from 2 to as many as 4 floors, or up to 50 feet in height. As part of that overall process, there was a requirement for parking stalls that was increased from 85 to 130 stalls if depending upon the size or the number of rooms that were ultimately developed as part of the expansion. Also, the parking stall size was allowed to be reduced from 180 to 162 square feet. And also, we relaxed some setback requirements for that off-site parking area that would be shared or part of the shared parking easement on the adjacent parking lot to the west. Now, in 2016, we were presented with 2 concept plans for that parking expansion on the off-site parking area as part of the golf course. Again, the golf course property, former golf course property, is highlighted in red. On this graphic, the proposal was if the hotel increased to 123 guest rooms, an additional 33 stalls would be provided. As you can see, those additional stalls will be constructed north of what's there today, the existing 22 parking stalls that are part of that shared parking easement area. second concept was presented if the hotel expanded to as many as 130 guest rooms, a total of additional 58 parking stalls would be provided as part of that development to the west. Again, additional parking stalls would be constructed immediately north of the existing shared parking area, as well as additional stalls constructed immediately west of the hotel property, which is just off the screen to the right, highlighted in green. At that time, the potential rebranding of the hotel was presented as, again, as many as 4 floors with different concept plans, none of which were proposed at the time. It was just a potential concept. And so the PDD was amended to accommodate this type of development and expansion. At this time, the current proposal is to expand the hotel, but not as much, if you will, as what was originally proposed in 2016. As part of that expansion, the number of floors would go from 2 to 3 instead of 2 to 4. And the number of parking stalls required obviously would be less, and the need would be reduced. So at this point, the proposal is to amend the PDD again to revise condition number 3 to reduce the number of required parking stalls from 128 to 103. That is consistent with the village's parking stall guidelines in our zoning code. And revise condition number 1 to supplement the general development plan for the Neviassar and Rivers Bend PDDs to include the revised and reduced off-site parking area shown in your plan set on sheet C 1.1. Additional landscape plantings would be installed on the existing berm on the former golf course property, also shown in the plan set, but there would not be additional parking stalls constructed. Here's a graphic revised to show what would be done to the existing shared parking easement area to the west. A sidewalk would be constructed from the west side of the hotel, again, the hotel to be expanded to 3 floors. And the additional shared parking easement area, the striping would be reconfigured. There's an old dumpster enclosure in the northwest corner of the parking lot that's unused. And that would be removed and converted to 2 parking stalls. So the number of parking stalls provided in this area would go from approximately the current 22 to 26 stalls. That, in combination with the additional or the existing parking stalls on the hotel property, would total 103 stalls, consistent with the parking stall guidelines in the zoning code. Other improvements, here's a graphic that would show, as part of this effort, as I mentioned, there aren't any additional parking stalls being constructed, but what is being proposed is the installation of additional plantings that would be located close to the existing Rivers Bend residential area in the northeast portion of the screenshot here. Those additional plantings would be installed just north and west of the existing berm that lies north of the parking lot area. And those plantings are shown on the screen. This graphic shows the majority of the hotel parcel highlighted in red. The dotted areas are those areas that are subject to some disturbance as part of the expansion project. The larger area to the left includes the sidewalk that's to be installed, the additional plantings, and disturbance of the berm area for those plantings. In the front of the hotel, the 2 other smaller areas show where handicap parking stalls will be constructed, and also the area where the main covered entryway, the porte cochere, will be remodeled as part of the overall expansion project. Additional site improvements, again, adding a 3rd floor, going from the existing 74 to a total of 100 guest rooms. The hip roof, the existing roof will be removed and replaced with a flat or tapered roof with varying parapet wall heights. The removal and replacement of the covered entryway at the front on the south side of the hotel. The EFIS areas will be repainted. Additional will be added for the additional floor, enhanced outdoor seating area on the east side of the building. Interior renovations, extensive interior renovations, including the removal of the existing pool. And finally, additional, as I mentioned earlier, restriping of the on-site parking lot areas and the shared parking area for a total of 103 parking stalls, and the additional landscaping on the berm area. Elevations, this is essentially the full south elevation of the building. Again, you can see going from 2 to 3 floors. The east elevation, new porte cochere over the entryway, and the renderings for the proposed hotel expansion. I believe the Fairfield Inn is the brand name that will be going with the expansion. In terms of staff comments and concerns, despite the less expansion of the hotel rooms and the parking stall requirements, staff is concerned with the plantings that are proposed, and that the fact that they are, for all intents and purposes, from our perspective, inadequate to provide the visual buffering that had been anticipated as part of the original project going back to 2013. As I mentioned, the original 2013 redevelopment of the golf course property was supposed to result in a new golf course building, landscaping around the building, the berms, landscaping, the golf cart enclosure area, all of which would serve to provide a visual buffer along that north side of the parking lot. Since the golf course never came to fruition, it went out of business 3, maybe 4 years after the original development was approved. The temporary office building that had been there for a while has long since been removed, and the area remains vacant today. And the only visual buffering that's provided is that existing berm in the northeast corner of the parking lot. So staff, as a part of one of its conditions, is recommending that additional landscaping be installed along the north side of the parking lot. Additional concerns: fire department is recommending no occupancy during the expansion construction. New and or additional fire protection measures need to be consistent with the commercial code, and the standard state-approved plans and occupancy bond will be required. Staff's recommendation is to approve the proposed amendment to the Naviasser PDD subject to 2 conditions, and also to approve the site development and building plans for the proposed 26-room hotel expansion, the renovations, interior and exterior, as well as the minor off-site parking lot improvements for the existing hotel, subject to 6 conditions that are in the staff report. Ratchet Dingra is here representing the owners and Excel Engineering. If you want to make a presentation or add any additional comments, you're certainly welcome to do so, or simply respond to questions as they come up. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. We did hold the public hearing at the December 13th Plan Commission meeting, but we had also voted to extend it to tonight's meeting as well, so that those that were in the audience at the last meeting could speak, and if they weren't able to make it at this meeting, then at least their comments would be read into the record. So we are extending it for tonight, so I'll open this public hearing by hereby stating A notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Village of Germantown Plan Commission at the Germantown Village Hall located on Mequon Road in Germantown and virtually through the WebEx platform on the following date of Monday, December 13th at 6:30 PM or later, and today, January 10th at 6:30 PM or later. The purpose of said hearing is to hear any and all parties, their attorneys or agents for or against the following application filed by the applicant for an amendment to the Naviezer Plan Development District Resolution 19-16 to amend the general development plan and reduce the total number of required parking stalls, and the Rivers Bend Plan Development District Resolution 18-16 to amend the general development plan. The applicants are the Odyssey Hotel Group, and the property address is the Holiday Inn Express, which is located at West 177, North 9675, Rivers Bend Lane. Before I open up the public hearing to comments for those that are attending, either here tonight or via WebEx, I do have some communications that we received via email or private letter. And the first one says, "Good day. I am Richard Exon, Vice President of the Rivers Bend Owner Association Board of Directors, and I am writing in that capacity. I will not be attending the January 2022 Plan Commission meeting. I first addressed the commission on this matter at the December 2021 meeting, at which time I discussed the ineffectiveness of the existing berms in keeping headlights out of our owners' living rooms and bedrooms. One of our owners, Mr. Watson, told of trespassers, including vehicles, onto the former golf course. It is our opinion that the headlight problem could be eliminated and the trespassing matter reduced by placing an opaque fence along the north end of the parking lot and extending it towards both the east and west as indicated on the attached map markup, which has been excerpted from the General Development Plan Map Sheet C1-1. In addition to the map, I have also attached here copies of the photos that I handed out at the Plan Commission at the December meeting for your reference in the current meeting. We ask that the proposed fence be included in the approved development plan and scope of works. Regards, Richard Atkinson, Vice President, Master Board, Rivers Bend Owners Association, North 97, West 17770, Rivers Bend Circle in Germantown, Wisconsin." Second communication that we received reads, "Village Planning Commission, I am writing to ask that the Holiday Inn not be allowed to expand as proposed. I am a Rivers Bend owner and I live at West 179, North 9773, Rivers Bend Circle West, Unit D10, and I am directly affected by the changes that have occurred since the golf course acreage was sold and the businesses have opened. I sit on my beautiful deck and look at the strip mall and Buffalo Wild Wings. Not the best of views, I can assure you. The light and noise are clearly seen and heard at night. Since the hotel purchased the golf course and surrounding acres, there have been numerous problems. The worst being the trespassers who pay no attention to the posted no trespassing signs. During summer and fall, there are groups of people partying into the early morning hours. Early on, I personally called the police department on several occasions and was told that unless I owned the property, I could not lodge a complaint. I have also called the hotel and reported the trespassing and partying, but sadly, nothing ever seems to be done. I understand that the patrolling of the area poses a difficult problem to the hotel. Please take into consideration the residents of Rivers Bend who live along the old golf course and whose lives have and will be directly affected by any changes to the hotel. Hold the hotel responsible for ensuring that our privacy and views are not destroyed any further. That is sincerely Ann Wittig, West 179, North 9773, Rivers Bend Circle West in Germantown." The next communication received January 10th reads, "I, Wally Watson, am a resident of Rivers Bend in the area where parking and landscaping plans will impact me and my neighbors. Our concern is that the use of parking approximately 25 to 30 spaces at the north end of the present parking lot that includes businesses like Buffalo Wild Wings, Starbucks, etc. Use of these spaces will cause car lights to shine underneath our fir trees and into our houses, plus the unwanted intrusion into the land beyond the parking spaces. Activities such as partying, bonfires, fishing, etc. would be a nuisance and require calls to the police. The berm referenced in the plan was built to protect us from some of the preceding issues. However, when it was planned, we asked that it be extended to cover our condo issues. It was not extended. The evergreens in our backyards do little to protect us from the issues we are concerned about. We recommend a berm 8 feet high with evergreens 5-foot firs at approximately 10 feet apart to extend from the east where the present berm exists to the west, extending all the way across all parking spaces to the ditch. Since the hotel owns all of this property, building a berm would be inexpensive. It would eliminate intrusions beyond the space and eliminate car lights into our condos. We will be at the meeting. Thank you, Wally and Terry Watson, also Jerry and Carol Kammer, and Robert and Sue Emke, and others. The last communication that I have states, this suggestion is for the hotel, the mall, and condo property owners in regards to the parking spaces at the mall, at Buffalo Wings, AT&T, the pizza, and the coffee shops. Aren't those businesses responsible for any misuse of their parking areas? They need to remind guests to park near their stores and not to use the far north end. I hope the hotel will have their sidewalk lit for their guests who park away from the hotel, perhaps even a slight low fence along its side. All persons parking should not continue into Rivers Bend condo lawns. Condos 1, 2, and 3 are the most affected by the hotel upcoming plans. Perhaps if the Village of Germantown planners could become involved with the 3 condo owners to point out the best use and ideas of the ground, berms, and trees, as it would be looked at together in better weather. The difference of looking at paper plans and to compare to actual ground areas would help all involved. Please see condo problems named at earlier meeting, IEW Watson. All 3 entities need to share helping each other for safety and limit the entire north parking spaces area of the mall. That area should only be for hotel guests and not for others to park or party. Let's all help each other, and if needed, should notify police. Thank you, S. Engelman, condo number 20, Rivers Bend Circle West. That's the communications that we've received in regards to this public hearing. If there is anyone in the audience or joining us via WebEx that would like to make comments for or against the applicant for the changes in the PDD resolution or the general development plan, you're welcome to do so at this time. All I would ask is you state your name and your address for the record. Is there anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against? Anyone wishing to speak for or against the changes and the amendment to the Plan Development District or the General Development Plan? Yes, as a trustee or as a resident? Okay.
Good evening, Plan Commission. I am Jan Miller, trustee for District 4. Rivers Bend is included in District 4. I've received several emails, phone calls. I've had several conversations with the homeowners in Rivers Bend that are along the backside of the proposed hotel expansion. In all cases, they were concerned about the parking, the headlights, and the intrusion upon their privacy. And I think that the people that I particularly talked to specifically did not say you shouldn't expand, but they want you to be a good neighbor. And that includes protecting their privacy, especially from car headlights. There has been other problems, as Dean Walter read, about people basically trespassing, walking around, fishing. So the last proposal that I got was from the vice president of the Homeowners Association, and that was the recommendation for the fence. And we would like the Plan Commission and the property owners to seriously consider a fence to exclude any of the parking lights from the hotel into the private citizens' River Bend property. Um, We think that this is a simple solution, not expensive, and it will protect the hotel residents as well as the residents, excuse me, in Rivers Bend. So we would like the Plan Commission to seriously consider putting up or requesting that the owners put up a fence, privacy fence. Thank you.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time to speak for or against? Yes, sir? Trustee or as a resident? Oh, okay.
I appreciate the choice. I'd like to echo the sentiments that my fellow District 4 trustee said, but I believe that she misspoke. I believe that the residents that have come forward are asking for an approximately 8-foot-high berm to be placed running east to west between the additional parking spaces and the property, with some plantings to go on top of that berm, is what I believe the residents are asking for. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for coming forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to come forward at this time to speak for or against the changes to the PDD or the general development plan? Anyone wishing to come forward to speak for or against? All right. Then this public hearing is now closed. Commissioners?
I believe that the question that just came up about the berm versus the fence go by Mr. Atkinson's letter. He's asking for a fence. There was some mention during the discussion of a berm.
There has been a request for both, actually. One is a request from Mr. Watson, who is recommending that a berm 6 to 8 feet high with evergreens on it approximately 10 to 15 feet apart extend from the east where the present berm exists to the west, extending all the way across all parking spaces to the ditch. And then there is a request from Mr. Atkinson, who is the Vice President of the Rivers Bend Owners Association, and he is asking for, it is our opinion that the headlight problem could be eliminated and trespassing matter reduced by placing an opaque fence along the north end of the parking lot and extending it towards both the east and west as indicated on the attached map markup. So we have a request for both options. Now, within the plan that Jeff showed us earlier, there was already an extension or an addition of landscaping, correct?
Yes, the original plan did show landscaping. Ultimately, if you look at the graphic on the left, near the top, the small brown rectangle that was supposed to be the new golf course building, approximately 1,500 square feet, was supposed to have a line of evergreens associated with a low-level berm to the east. That was never constructed in that manner. What was constructed is it's sort of a diagonal berm that's parallel to the common property line between the golf course and the Rivers Bend residential area.
Is that a true representation of its size and length?
No, this is what was shown as part of the concept plan in 2016 for the expanded parking area. I don't have a good graphic. This is probably the best rendering that shows it. The berm extends to a point, and then the additional plantings that were proposed, that are proposed, would extend further north and west of the existing berm.
Mhm.
Part of the problem that we have with any sort of berm installation, you see that dashed line that runs sort of diagonally from the bottom to the upper right across the property. That's the 100-year floodplain boundary. And we need to be careful about bringing in a lot of fill into the floodplain. It's not that one can't bring fill in and create a berm. It's just that it necessitates a significant amount of analysis to show that filling the floodplain boundary area doesn't create issues upstream or in other parts of the areas that are
Or on the
affected,
other side of that berm.
or the other side of the berm, yeah.
Because I remember someone had proposed when this first came forward, of creating a berm the full length of the condos on that east side. That's what they had requested at one time as well, which would be a fair amount of dirt, and at the same time could have caused some additional flooding issues, because in the spring, depending on how much rain and water that we see in that area, there is always some flooding in that back area.
Right. So the staff recommendation is to investigate and to install additional landscaping and berms to the extent possible without creating problems for the floodplain, which would necessitate a further evaluation of that floodplain, actual floodplain location, the boundary, and also what sort of berms and landscaping could be strategically placed along the north side of the parking lot to provide that additional buffering.
Okay.
Frankly, my only concern and about the fence, particularly one that's 5+ feet high and a completely opaque and a privacy fence, is purely aesthetics.
Okay. You would like to make a comment? I do need you to come to the front, please. And just state your name for the record also, please.
Yeah, my name is Ratchet Dingra. I'm the owner of Odyssey Hotels. And first of all, I want to assure you guys, we want to work as neighbors to you guys. And if you follow the history, before even we proposed the 4th floor, 3 and 4th floor, we had a meeting at the hotel and got everyone's consent. And that's how we got the amendment to the PUD initially. Now, I think the concern is the headlight. That's what it seems like, because me and my colleague, actually, we drove through the site before we came here. And when there are a lot of pine trees that are protecting the neighbors' houses. The problem is when you drive a car, there's headlight that goes in at nighttime. So to protect that, I think putting a fence is not a bad idea. I guess I'd love to see that diagram that was proposed. So we can kind of get a sense of what they're proposing and what we think is the right thing to do. The other comment I want to make on trespassing is, the hotel's been instructed to call the police if people from the neighborhood actually complained about trespassing. From my understanding, I just talked to the manager at the hotel. We've not gotten a complaint since. And a lot of people actually have called the hotel from the Rivers Bend community to go and fish in the pond. So it might seem like that it's trespassing there, but a lot of the residents like to go out and fish in the pond, and they have been reaching out to the hotel that if they could go fish in the pond. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to differentiate between people kind of stepping out from the outside world and from the community who go fish in the pond. And we really can't police anyone. That's why we had signs posted there. But I mean, we'll be as cooperative as possible to prevent that. And I think fence might help in, addressing some of those concerns too for access. But I think the length of the fence is going to be something we should look into by looking at what they've recommended. And okay. I mean, if I can take a minute to take a look at this. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jason Day with Excel Engineering, civil engineer for the project. Just in regards to the berm, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, we'll have to get approval through the village as well as through the DNR. It'll be very difficult to get any more filling approved within the floodplain itself. If you remember when the outlots out front were filled to develop along the frontage roadway to the south, it was very difficult to get that approved. So I find it very, I'd be very optimistic to try and get that approved through the DNR again for any berming beyond the dashed line that Mr. Etzloff has delineated in the drawing here. So I feel the fence is probably the best option. I know there's concerns about the aesthetics and possibly softening up that fence with landscaping as needed. White PVC fence softened with landscaping seems to be able to achieve and overcome quite a few of the concerns that we've heard tonight. So,
Okay,
I
thank
don't know
you.
if you have anything else.
Mike Guth, Odyssey Hotels. So we were talking about the fencing. One of my concerns, the berm also comes across to the wet, or to the, what's that called, the floodplain? Yep. And then, we were talking about the snow plow. A lot of the times they plow the snow into that, off that area. So we were thinking of having, if we do have this fence, to have it at least 10 feet, maybe even 15 feet, off the parking lot, and then go across probably to, can you guys hear me? Yep. We're looking at, at that point, and this, what's that? Yeah, the snow plowing goes through, and that'll give them 50, if we hold off 15 feet off that north, uh, off of the parking lot, that would allow them to at least put snow there and not damage the fence. But
Anything else?
nope.
All right, thank you. Section. You had your hand up? Trustee Baum?
So are we talking an 8-foot fence? Yeah. Okay, I gotta be specific for everybody out there. So, okay, we're talking in,
I think what Mike was suggesting, go all the way. This over here. Middle.
okay,
Headlights. This here. This was there.
okay. I will make a motion to approve the staff's recommendation that the proposed PDD amendment are significant changes that require public hearing to be held concurrent with the plan commission. Do we need a motion for that, or is that already done?
Pretty well done.
We've done that, yeah.
Okay, so then we'll move on to the next one. I make a motion to approve the proposed amendment by Odyssey Hotel Groups to the Renovation PDD, subject to the 2 conditions as presented.
Could you come to the microphone?
As far as the height of the fence, 4 feet. I mean, we're doing headlights, right? Yeah, to a 2nd-story room. Okay. All right. You got a berm already that's not doing enough. Because we're shining over the berm and under the trees into the residence. So that's 4 feet. That berm is 4 feet. So 4 feet's not solving the problem right now.
If I could jump in, actually, the berm really doesn't do much other than the last couple of stalls. I think the majority of the complaints are for the residents a little bit further along.
Right.
Major motion?
So do you want to establish a height of the fence then?
I was just reading where are we talking about that, and should that be in this part or the next part?
Is that part of the,
It would be the second
The second portion of the site
Third.
plan review?
Yeah, the
third.
site plan review.
Yeah.
Okay, so your motion then is to approve the changes or the amendment to the Nevesor Plan Development District PDD.
Yes,
So you're taking them one at a time.
correct.
And we had a second? Okay, motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Next motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the site development and building plans for the 26-room hotel expansion, renovation, and minor off-street parking lot improvements for the existing hotel as presented with the current 6 conditions. I will add another one as an amendment.
You can make it in your motion if you like.
Okay, I'll add a 7th condition that an 8-foot tall fence be installed from what direction is red?
East.
From the east edge of the parking lot to a point, I'm gonna call it 2/3 of the way where that vertical dotted line is, where the gentleman pointed where the grades change.
Floodplain boundary line?
No, it's the next line over, the vertical line. That one, yeah.
Up to the microphone if you would, please, sir.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
Okay, so Jeff just gave us this drawing and we're kind of looking at it and they're asking for a 5-foot fence. That's what the neighbors are requesting for the drawings. I mean, my only concern is that it might look really odd, putting such a big fence and, I mean, 8 foot, 5 foot,
Minimum.
in the big scheme of things, it wouldn't make much of a difference. I don't know if you had any comment there.
2, 3. Phil? Gotta go up, Phil, please.
Yeah.
Just so everybody hears that's listening at home. Appreciate it.
So thank you for your willingness to compromise. It's greatly appreciated. Some of the neighbors are asking for a 5-foot fence. Some of the neighbors are asking for an 8-foot berm, right? So to me, the compromise would be an 8-foot berm. And I do understand the aesthetic question, but I think that could be softened up significantly with some evergreen type landscaping on either or both sides of the fence. Thank
So
you.
you're saying the 8-foot fence, you said berm.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get the berm. I understand that.
Okay,
That's not on the table right now. That's not in the motion.
right.
So I think that the compromise between both sides would be the 8-foot fence with some additional landscaping, perhaps on both sides of the fence, which would soften up the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You still have the floor.
I mean, if we put the fence and the landscaping, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? I mean, they replant evergreens there. That's another option instead of the fence, right at the edge of the parking lot.
I think what the fence does, and maybe from what I'm hearing, is they're looking for the opaque fence to put a stop to the lights completely.
Correct.
So it stops them. We're looking at an aesthetics view of when you're there and driving through and looking at it from one side or the other to kind of break up that 8-foot wall. So we're just asking for some plantings to go in there just to kind of break it up. So I understand your concern of it's both, but we're not looking for a wall of trees. We're just looking for something to kind of break up the large expanse of the 8-foot wall. So, a few trees here and there just to kind of, soften it up a bit would be appreciated.
Okay. I mean, but I would think that 8 foot might be too high. That's my personal opinion.
No, because what I'm looking at, the photos, and I'm looking at the map, that berm is only 4 feet tall, and you can clearly see right over the berm, right into people's houses.
No, the problem is the berm doesn't extend all the way. Park right here. See the house, can't see the headlight.
That's what they're,
that's where the headlights start coming in. Pine trees there.
We've been presented with photos from the parking lot.
Could I see that if that?
That's.
You have it.
In that set that you were
It's
just.
part of your set.
It's the very first photo, and it shows clearly that you are looking over the berm into somebody's window. And that's what I'm trying to get rid of, and that's where the berm starts to fade off. And by putting a fence across this area, we stop it all.
I don't think there's a berm here. I mean, the berm stops here,
Right,
right?
but the fence will stop it.
It stops there. The berm stops before that, before the visual.
And
If you look at the picture, actually the berm stops right before that. I mean, again, I just think visually for the neighborhood, 8-foot fence is going to be like putting a wall up there. I mean, really is going to look odd. That's my personal opinion. I don't know. I mean, you guys think it's okay? I mean, I think.
With some landscaping.
I mean, still, the fence is still gonna be protruding out, even if you put some landscaping to deter it, so.
So whether I disagree or agree isn't the issue. This is what the residents of the neighborhood are asking for. And as their trustee, this is what I am asking for.
They originally, when this was originally proposed, when the golf course was going to go there, we all understood there was going to be a building there. And that was going to block the headlights. Now there's no building there. There's nothing there. And they want that barrier back. And that barrier was a building 10, 12 feet tall.
As I said, I mean, would you like to comment, ma'am?
Yes?
The email that Dean read was a request for the fence. And the vice president of the association came up with the fence idea because a tree can fall down, you can see lights through it. So that's what came out. And he recommended a minimum of 5 feet. And if you, to your point though, David, the 8-foot would alleviate everything. So is there a compromise between the 5 and the 8? But you do also need the buffer of some trees. So I don't want to disturb the wetland, by the way, or the floodplain. So a conversation could be had with your owners and Rivers Bend. And I think you need to share the updated plan with the people that are living with the new construction. That's my thought. Thank you.
Okay. Sir? Just state your name for the record, please.
Thank you. Doug Lohman, I am a resident of Rivers Bend in Unit D24 there. Can you put, Mr. Ratcliffe, can you put that?
Mr. Retzloff. Mr. Retzloff.
I'm sorry, can you put that, the one we had before where we saw the berm on it and everything? You know, I love what everybody's saying and everything, and I didn't really come here for this. I wanted to observe and learn about the planning commission. But basically, right here, the berm here. Right now is all trees. You can't even tell there's a building there as you're driving down Rivers Circle. You know, it's not until you get to the corner, because it's all trees that are very close together. You can't even see it. But yeah, doing the fence proposed, that accomplishes a lot of things, but you know, the aesthetics is a problem. It does look bad. It does need to, as Mr. Baum said, it does probably need Problem with the fence, funneling those predators over. Predation going on right in my backyard. I've got pictures of it. So, you know, I know one of the problems with the hotel is that residents take their pets in there, they come out and they walk them. Sometimes they walk into Rivers Bend. They do that at night. You're probably going to run into a coyote. So, a lot of things to be considered there, but I think the fence needs to be higher, 5 feet. And yeah,
Thank you. Further discussion?
Oh, wait, I don't think I finished my motion.
Sure, we have a second.
But I wanted to make sure that the fence can be 10 to 15 feet off of the asphalt for snow storage.
That would be, I think that's been discussed and it would be consideration of the installation of the fence.
David, you indicated that the height of the fence should be sufficient because of two-story second floor, like headlights going in the second floor.
True.
I'm almost certain, somebody should correct me, are all of the units, do they have a second floor?
got right behind story one right
Okay,
there.
so
Yeah,
the row right adjacent to the property line, those are all one story.
those are all things.
Then if this is showing a one-story building, that first floor window is above the berm, the existing berm. So if that's a first floor window, yeah, we're shining right in the first floor windows. I was thinking that was a second story window, but it's not. It's first floor, so.
Further discussion? Right. Mr. Leszewski.
Jeff, then the landscaping along the fence, is that something that becomes a function of staff? Because you're going to want to put landscaping, I think, on both sides of the fence, one for the residents, one for quote unquote the village? Or are we not thinking that way?
Well, at this point, there's no prescription for what it should be. You know, in my opinion, there's some shared responsibility. I mean, granted, when the residential area went in, they planted a lot of evergreen trees. As the last presenter spoke about the trees behind the hotel, there's a significant amount of trees that have grown up very tall, very thick, and you can't see through them, much like the common property line north by the golf course. The trees, in fact, the trees are almost too high. It's as if the lower branches now need to be trimmed or cut just for maintenance purposes, and that exposes that view under the tree. And I do recall that in 2013, when the berm was originally installed, the same issue came up. And in the end, I went out there with response to specific property owner complaints and stood in strategic locations to identify where they were going to plant some additional trees. And they did plant some additional trees in certain spots that the residents said, I would like a tree right here. Clearly that wasn't sufficient to address all of the property owner concerns. So I don't know, do you require more landscaping along the common property line? Do you require it only along the north side edge of the parking lot?
In theory, you're going to be seeing this in reverse, right? You can see a fence poking through, you know what I mean? You're only going to see a fence from strategic spots where there's a gap in those trees. So in theory, it should already be screened by those trees nearest,
Right.
unless you're standing in the middle of that field.
Look at this plan here. There's hardly any trees on the housing side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 above the the red line.
But if you look at these pictures, you'll see that there is a lot of landscaping on the residential side. Not enough, but a lot. So I guess the question is, at what point do you require the hotel property owner to provide all of the screening? And where should it be? Should the fence be along the common property line? Or should it be closer to where the source of the headlights are? Arguably, to maximize the benefit, it should be closer to where the headlights are.
Right.
Which is why if it's 10 feet, 8-foot high fence, a privacy fence, 10 feet off the property line, I would like to think we would require some landscaping on the south side of the fence at a minimum, strictly from an aesthetic point of view from the parking lot. I know that sounds crazy, right? Or this is I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Piece of fence, landscaping, more fence, landscaping.
Good. Suggestion, the 8-foot fence, that way it's not all fence. Look at this drawing here, it shows a section of fence and then landscaping in the middle, and a section of fence of what we showed. And that way it's not all fence, it kind of breaks it up.
Continue alternating that for whatever length it is.
Okay,
It's actually better than just.
right. All right. We're back, still discussion? Yes.
I just want to say that the residents have already compromised. The original ask is for a berm. So he said no to the berm. We've talked about the height of the fence. We've already shortened the distance that the fence is going to run, which I understand, and I think that they will understand also. And now we are asking them, we're even going to have less fence.
It's gonna,
So this is not a compromise anymore. This is not what our citizens are asking for.
it,
I understand the aesthetics issue,
mhm.
and I understand the snow issue. I think that a good compromise I believe that is the compromise. To ask any more from our citizens, it's no longer a compromise. Now we're dictating.
Well,
Thank you.
we're kind of dictating a fence to the developer and to the owner in regards to what's being requested by the residents. So the compromise is from both sides, and those that are putting up the fence and those that are getting the benefit from it. We're just looking for a way to build a fence that's not a huge wall or appearance of a wall and has some sort of aesthetic value to it, as you look at it from the resident, not call it the non-resident side of it.
And I am appreciative again of the owner's efforts. And I believe that that could be accomplished by a fence that runs all the way and landscaping planted in front on either side of the fence also. I don't believe stopping the fence, having landscaping and then starting the fence again, in 10 years, we're going to be right back to where we are today, where the trees and the landscaping have grown up high and the lights can be seen underneath the trees. We'll be right back. Well, I won't be here, but David will.
No, too bad we don't have our resident landscaper here. It's really a selection of the plants, because if the planting that is here is a much sparser plant. If you were to plant a dense arborvitae, and you
Cedar.
put them 3 in a row, those can block out anything. So it's really a matter of the plant selection that you put in that gap. Yeah. Yeah, but do I put the plants on your side or my side of the fence then? Then I'm gonna have that.
Not their property, though. Not their property. Mr. Nillis,
Where are we on the motion?
we are at the point of approving the site plan with the 6 conditions and the added 7th condition of the fence.
So the 5th condition listed still includes a berm.
Yes, that should likely be modified given course of the discussion.
That's what I'm thinking too. So I'd like to move to strike references to the berm in the 5th condition.
Your motion to amend is to remove references to the description of the berm in condition number 5.
That is correct.
We have a motion to amend. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries. Back to the motion as amended. Further discussion, or you still have the
Walker.
floor, Mr. Nillis.
Who seconded the first motion?
First motion,
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Nillis, you still have the floor if you care for it.
No.
All right. Further discussion on the motion as amended. And this is for the site plan with the additional condition number 7, correct? Minus the last amendment.
correct.
Okay? No further discussion? All those in favor? Trustee Baum?
In reading the police reports, there was another issue of cars driving back into the park, into the,
Mm-hmm.
is there something we can do to prevent cars from going back there?
Put up a fence.
And, because these residents don't know who you've given authority to go fishing, but apparently there's bonfires and parties going on back there.
Microphone, if you would, please. I appreciate that.
We've told anyone who calls the hotel, actually, I've gotten a call myself. I don't know how they got my number, but they called me, can I go fish at the pond? And I said, we allow one person, then everyone follows through. We just don't allow that. As far as someone actually going and parking a car and doing a bonfire, I mean, I can't, I live in Chicago, so I have no idea what transpires here. But I tell you this, if this would have happened, my GM would have called us, my operational person, we would have known about it. I haven't heard anything like that. So,
It's in police reports.
okay.
I've
So
read it.
I don't, I mean, I think I noticed that in the meeting minutes too. And I mean, anyone's feel free to call the cops if there are any issues, and we'll be supportive
Right.
100%.
But they can't, what they can't do is create a complaint of trespassing because they don't own the property. But what they can do is create a complaint of noise or disruption or loud disruptive noise or something like that. But those that do file a complaint with the police, you can't say, I'd like to file a complaint about trespassing because you don't own the property. Only
I
the
mean,
property owner can do that.
One thing we could do is the Riverbend's community president, we could leave the GM's number there so that person is, the GM's reachable. And if the police says that you don't own the property, they can reach out to the GM and, automatically get a consent that that's okay. I mean, I don't think that should be a problem. at all.
Okay, that would be appreciated,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Sure.
We have informed the residents, start calling. When you see stuff, start
Yeah,
calling.
absolutely. I mean, in fact, in last meeting when I was there, we told all the residents too, if you have a complaint, call the general manager. I don't think we had put any formal protocol or procedure in place, but we'd be happy to, provide the number and they'll be fully supportive because we want to make sure the neighborhood is safe. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Further discussion? Mr.
Just before we have an amendment on the floor, are we using a continuous wall or a wall with landscaping breaks? Confused
I
on
would leave
point.
that up to the planners to approve the plans for the 8-foot fence with landscaping.
Well, frankly, I was going to suggest maybe bringing it back to the Plan Commission for their final approval.
However you want to handle it.
We do have time. It's not like it needs to be the first thing that goes in as part of the expansion project. And I believe there's going to be a construction trailer parked in that part of the parking lot.
Okay, so you want to see a formal landscaping plan that could be brought before this body for approval?
Given the nature of what's being requested and the relative lack of clarity, yeah, it would be helpful.
Okay. All right.
So wait a minute, we're talking about a formal landscaping plan that includes the fence, correct?
Yeah, that's called for in condition number 5.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Just for clarification, we did do the Plan Development District Resolution 19-16. And did we also do the Rivers Bend Plan Development District Resolution 18-16?
Actually, we just need the one for the,
Okay. All right, just want to make sure. All right. Then that should take care of all items under new business item A. Thank you for coming. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your participation. Thank you to the residents that came forward and the trustees that participated as well in the public hearing. Your time and your comments into the record are appreciated. Thank you. Next item under new business is item B. Ryan Rawl, agent for Apex Hotel Investments LLC, property owner of Country Inn and Suites, located at West 188 North 11020 Maple Road, and Willowview Investments LLC, property owner of the Florian, located at North 111 West 18611 Mequon Road, certified survey map to reconfigure existing parcel boundaries. Give us more information and background on new business item B. We'll turn the meeting back over to our Community Development Director, Jeff Retzlaff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Ryan Rawl, the agent for both Apex Hotel Investments and Willowview Investments LLC, owners of the Country Inn and Suite Hotel and the Florian Park facility, are seeking approval of a 2-lot certified survey map to relocate the common property line between the two properties. The existing property line is shown on the screen in the dashed yellow line. And the proposal is to move that to the west and essentially transfer 4 acres of land from the Florian Park parcel from the hotel parcel to the Florian Park property. There's the existing and the proposed common property line between the two. For those of you who were here back in 2016, 2017-ish, we did the exact opposite back then. It was originally like this, and then we approved that for purposes of possibly accommodating a hotel expansion. Now, the owner agent is indicating that they want the additional land with the Florian Park property for purposes of possibly expanding that operation, although they don't have any specific plans at this point in time. So it's a simple 2-lot certified survey map. Staff recommendation is to approve with 2 conditions.
Make a motion to approve as presented with the 2 conditions.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Next item under new business is item C, Innovative Signs, agent for Goldendale Road 2 LLC, property owner located at West 204 North 13035 and West 204 North 13055 Goldendale Road, site review application. To give us more background and information on this new business item, we'll turn the meeting over to our associate planner, Emily Zant.
Thank you. So the proposal is for a multi-tenant ground sign that would be located, let's see here, I apologize, on the south side of the south driveway off of Goldendale Road. This is on the top of your screen, Illing Building, and then the multi-tenant, the Goldendale multi-tenant building in the southeast is existing, and to the one in the southwest is will be under construction soon, I believe. So the proposed sign will cover both of those two multi-tenant buildings on the south side. It's a 5 by 16 foot, about 80 square feet per side, a double-sided internally illuminated aluminum cabinet with removable panels, located on a 3 foot 4 inch tall masonry base with an overall height of 8 feet and 8 inches. As the sign will serve two multi-tenant buildings, staff did include a condition that the address coordinates for both buildings, along with an indication of which businesses are in which building, be included on the base of the sign. As you can see, the applicant did submit a revised drawing, which is shown on the screen, showing this information, and so as such, condition 1 of the approval listed in the staff report can be eliminated. The proposed ground sign will meet the 5 foot required setback from the property line. There is a landscaping plan that meets the required 3 feet of landscaping on all sides of the ground sign. And so staff's recommendation is to approve the proposed ground sign for the two multi-tenant buildings located W204 and 13035 and N13055 Goldendale Road, subject to one condition.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Janulis?
Just like a procedural question here. If these buildings are at the same latitude, why is the one at the west, why is the northerly coordinate different and not the westerly coordinate?
He's going by the grid.
Yeah. It's just a curious question there. Well,
Show the layout of the buildings again, Emily.
so they, from that, they should be both, the same northerly coordinate, but one would be farther west than the other, right?
It's a matter of the postal service.
Right.
So they will share the first building has to come first, the farther back building comes second, the next building, they all have the same, they all have the same tool for.
Yeah, I believe it has, like,
Oh, he's right.
Goldendale Road is west 204 coordinate.
Right.
So with the same access point, you just essentially choose two addresses close together.
Okay. Well, again, it's not material to anything here.
Well, you're right. I mean, if you're going to go by the true grid system, it should be, coordinates should change on the north.
Sure.
Mhm. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Because it's by their access then. Okay. Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Next item under new business is item D, Robert and Rhonda Heft, property owners of West 199 North 11525 Rosewood Avenue and Lot 7 Oakview Avenue in Woodland Manor subdivision, certified survey map to modify the lines. Give us more information on this new business item. Again, we'll turn the meeting over to Associate Planner Emily Zant.
Thank you. The property owners, Robert and Rhoda Haft, are proposing a 2-lot certified survey map to modify the boundary between lots 2 and 7 of the Woodland Manor subdivision. Here's the site location. The property is zoned RS5 and surrounded by RS5 zoning. As you can see, the house is located on the eastern parcel, and there's a vacant lot located to the west. The purpose of the CSM is to enlarge the lot with the existing single-family dwelling to accommodate what has been constructed in the backyard, including the pool, and then to sell off the lot to the west. So the proposed CSM will move the west lot line approximately 50 feet to the west. The RS5 single-family residential district allows a minimum lot size of 15,000 square feet. Both proposed lots will meet this minimum lot size and allow for setback requirements to be met. There are currently 3 detached accessory structures on the property. The village does not have any permits on file for these accessory structures. However, the RS5 single-family zoning district only allows 1 accessory structure up to 1% of the size of the lot. As a part of this whole process, the property owner will be required to come into compliance with the residential accessory structure regulations for the RS5 district, and we've included this as a condition of approval. The village surveyor did identify a few technical corrections in a memo dated January 3rd, 2022. These revisions have also been included as a condition of approval. So staff's recommendation is to approve the 2-lot certified survey map to modify the boundary between lots 2 and 7 of the Woodland Manor subdivision, subject to 2 conditions.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Mr. Williams.
Can you just tell me what would result if they don't come into compliance, just for my own benefit and understanding what occurs if they're not in compliance by the deadline date?
The deadline date was based on like a plan that the property owner submitted. We added an extra month on there for buffer time. What would happen if they need to, they would need to continue to work with staff to come into compliance, essentially.
Code violation notice.
Code violation. Okay.
The
You
filing.
could prohibit the filing of the paperwork to divide this property.
I don't know that we'd want to wait that long. I think we could handle it. I suppose we could, but ordinarily our procedure is to get the documents recorded as quickly as possible.
Could we at least not allow completion of that until they at least come into an agreement that what they're going to do with the accessory buildings?
What sort of agreement are you thinking? I mean, something in writing? I mean, right now, the way it stands, they have 3 accessory buildings. They can only have 1. They would need to get rid of 2 of them. There's options, frankly. You know, they could even appeal to the Board of Zoning Appeals to try and get a variance that would allow 2 or 3 of the buildings. Part of the problem is, I think the problem is the fact that we don't have any evidence of building permits having been issued for those. Now, the buildings are old.
Really old, yeah.
You want to say something?
Could you come to the microphone, please?
I'm Rhoda Haft. My husband Bob has been working with Emily. And we have agreed that we'll remove the extra we lived at the property 31 years. The property was built by Norman Merkel. It's the Merkel subdivision that we live in, and it was built 55, 60 years ago. So all the structures that are there were there the day we moved in 31 and a half years ago. So we weren't aware that those were out of compliance until we started working with Emily to start to sell off this back property and figure out how to do that. So Bob, my husband, has said by May 31, we would, because it's snowy out now, it's hard to get stuff out that we would have those two the extra sheds taken out
Okay.
by the end of May.
Very good.
Does
Thank
that
you.
clarify things?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Does that, so if this is approved tonight, will we need to wait until the sheds are removed to sell the back property, or that won't be necessary? As far as you guys know.
If once the CSM is recorded and the change property line is legal, you could market it and sell the property.
Mhm.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, thank you. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
This application will need to go before the village board for final approval. Correct.
No, that would be the next village board meeting?
Typically, we do the first village
meeting of the
month.
All right, so then that would be the February meeting. The first Monday in February, it would come before village board for approval. Well, the board would go through motion to approve it and then through any discussion that they would have at that point. But it would be that first Monday in February.
Is that going to be on the consent agenda?
We don't have one for plan commission
No.
items. I wish we did.
Further discussion, Mr. Nillis.
Just a question, maybe for the property owner, but would the removal of those two additional accessory buildings cause you to maybe modify how far you move that lot line? I mean, is that a question regarding setbacks?
Yep.
I guess I would, just as long as you're comfortable with that amount of shifting of the lot line, you know, if it makes a difference in selling the property off or whatever, I just. All right, then I'm satisfied, thanks.
Further discussion? No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for coming tonight. Last item under new business is item E, Steve Schultz, agent for Gale Foods LLC and AGNL Dairy LLC, property owner located at North 116, West 15970 Main Street, sign review application. Give us more information, background on this new business item. Again, we'll turn the meeting over to Emily Zant.
Thank you. So Gale Foods is providing or proposing a wall sign for their Main Street facility. The wall sign would be about 80 square feet. It would not be illuminated. Aluminum with gloss laminate mounted flush to the wall. It will be located above the visitor entrance off of Main Street. So staff recommends approval of the proposed wall sign for Gale Food and Beverage located at N116 W15970 Main Street as proposed.
Move approval is presented.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. It takes care of all items under new business. And on tonight's agenda, does anyone have any announcements they'd like to make? No announcements? Then we can be adjourned. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for watching, and have a good night.